Hi, Amma. Good afternoon to you. First and foremost, Happy New Year and Ayubowan to you. Hope you're doing well and staying safe.
Well, I'm doing well, Nirmal. Thank you very much, Esema Veva. Thank you very much for engaging with us and agreeing to do this interview with me. Uh, Let me first introduce you to the audience, whoever is listening and whoever will listen to this video as time goes on. Dr. Nirmal de Silva is an experienced C-level business professional. He's also a visiting associate professor in business and management. He's a board director, entrepreneur, public speaker. He's the co-founder and CEO of Paramount Reality. And he also happens to be a member of the Marg Institute. I had the privilege of working with Nirmal during these past months. He was involved with quite a number of projects, some of which is still going on, and is also involved with our education program. So Nirmal, without any further ado, I would like to throw just two questions. One is an area that you are expert on, and I believe you have given a lot of your expertise to local as well as international real estate companies. So you will be able to kind of say something off the cuff, bet on quite a while. How do you see COVID-19 affecting our real estate market? Because the question I'm asking is, I somehow see that there may be some opportunities for the real estate market. I may be very optimistic, but I'd like to hear your views regarding this. Yes, Nirmal.
Yeah, Amma, I think it's an interesting point. I think from a real estate perspective, I would first like to look at it from an investor, potential domestic investor perspective. I think because of this COVID-19 scenario, people will definitely be re-looking at how they are going to invest in different asset classes. So land being scarce and land being always a good hedge against inflation and so forth in the long term, I think there will be renewed focus on real estate and freehold land as an investment class. It may not happen in the initial few months post-COVID, but definitely in the medium to long term. Now, from the residential market segment, we all know, especially from a middle class and low middle class perspective, we have a housing problem in this country. And especially for the millennials and the newer generation, there is not much of ancestral land coming into their foray at the moment. So there will always be demand in that category. I personally feel that the luxury residential and apartment segment will see a sluggish scenario for a continued period of time. Whether it be 12 months, 18 months, or 24 months, will depend on a number of macro environmental factors. Because I think for most people, the focus will be on essential areas and they will want to invest in countries and assets which is relatively lower or perceived lower in risk. So where Sri Lanka falls in that continuum will be an interesting proposition. But on the other hand, I agree with you wholeheartedly. There are few emerging opportunities I can see from a Sri Lankan perspective, because I think it's truly commendable how our frontline staff, the doctors and nurses in Sri Lanka, has been addressing this whole COVID-19 scenario. And it's very evident and it's accolade that Sri Lanka should be proud of. Our healthcare system is amongst one of the best in South Asia, if not in the region, wider region as well. So I think there will be more opportunities for medical tourism, retirement living type of real estate propositions. Because I think the Sri Lankan government also prior to this pandemic was talking about introducing residential visas for real estate related investment linked approaches. So I think those are all going to be positives. And if we can get our act together, we can definitely look at that retirement living, medical tourism, linked real estate proposition. On the other hand, I think gated living and community living is also going to be an important category, especially when we look at consolidation among tier two suburban cities, the emerging cities as we call it, because people will see the benefit of living in a community. And if at all this pandemic has taught us that we need to be united with each other, collaborate with each other,
Exactly, yes.
etc.
Absolutely correct.
So maybe this might be a good opening for us to get to know our neighbors better and interact with them amidst our busy schedules. But by far and large, if I say we shouldn't think that the real estate industry is going to be doomed. I think the construction industry might feel the pinch a little bit more longer and harder. But from an investment perspective, there's going to be some new opportunities. It's not the right thing to say, but the mantra in real estate is simple. When the markets are down, buy it. When the markets are high, sell it. So I think that will remain the same in Sri Lanka as well.
Yeah, I think you quite correctly said that, the luxury apartment market will be sluggish. But I am sometimes a bit amused, I see every single apartment complex that is marketed today, they are all marketed on the tag of a luxury apartment. And you said that if you take the millennials, they have an issue about housing, and people have not really, the market has not really focused on them. Now I see in other countries, there are apartments where people can kind of not own, can move into for short periods of time, like for 1 year, 2 years, because in those large countries, people will be moving on and off, going from one state to the other. But Sri Lanka being a tiny island, I don't know whether we will have people like that. But the young people today, they want to experience things. I think last year there was a survey done by Gallup, and it found that a lot of young people do not want to own cars. They don't want to own apartments because they want to have that freedom to be able to move from one place to another, experience something different as time goes on. So do you think you can capitalize on that particular market and have buildings where, like for today, you have offices that you can rent out for a short period of time? So the same way, homes that you can rent out for short periods of time. Do you think a new market will open up that way?
Yeah, I think you're right. Flexible living will definitely be a new business model emerging across the world. We've seen scenarios like time sharing related stuff when it comes to more or less the leisure and the holiday type of scenario. I agree with you that millennials, by far and large, the statistic shows in every research that they would like to invest more money on experiences and not necessarily assets. But we need to keep in mind that we're talking about Sri Lanka here in particular. And most of the Sri Lankans are very culturally driven, very traditional in our thought processes. We even now, let's be very open, we have the, so with all of them may not be equivalent into thoughts and actions vis-a-vis the region or Southeast Asia for that matter. But I want to touch on an interesting point that you came about. I think when you talk about real estate, we can't forget about the commercial real estate aspect of it. And I feel that once the social distancing regulations are taken out in the medium term in most of the countries, there will be more focus on flexible working, serviced offices and co-working spaces because people will see the benefit of not being locked into long-term contracts, having to think about furniture, technology, cumbersome agreements, security, tea, coffee, etc. So they will be looking at on-demand workspaces, paid by the day, month, or even a year, and looking at collaborative work environments. At the moment, it may not happen because of social distancing related issues, but definitely in the medium to long term, we will see flexible working being a norm. Now, that's going to be helpful in the changes of work practices within organizations as well, because at the moment, whether we like it or not, from Sri Lankan perspective, with this lockdown, we are working from home. Now we are having this conversation via Zoom. So I would say most of the people now are aware of these technology tools available to work. So if you're an entrepreneur and if you're thinking outside the box, if you really have a proper focus, KPI, and engagement, productivity is not lost by working from home. And if you can get your staff working on a rotational basis, working from home, you'll see huge cost savings. Then the question comes in, do you need to have your traditional conventional space? Can you move some of your teams into a flexible working environment? So these are going to be some trends within the commercial real estate industry. Over the last 2 decades alone, we've seen across the globe flexible and co-working spaces being a trendy thing, the popularity growing. In Sri Lanka as well, we've seen that, especially among the startup community, the freelancing and the entrepreneurial community. But I think more and more Sri Lankan blue chips and corporates and SMEs, I believe, will be looking towards those flexible models moving forward.
Yeah.